Hello everyone, we're back. Now, we've been playing Halo... Well, we played it yesterday for a couple of hours. We actually sat on the couch old school style because we only had one Xbox that we could play it on.
Taking turns.
He would play one, he would lose, I would play one, I would win one. That's kind of how it went, of course.
Yeah.
And we had a good time with it. We thought we'd jump on today, tell you what we thought of the impressions. What we thought of Halo Infinite. It's a beta. There's only a couple of maps that you could play. Very small, the amount of content that they've given you. But let's get into it after the drop. Let's tell you what we thought of Halo Infinite beta multiplayer. Can I just say that it always looks like I don't have any pants on. I just have short pants. I have short shorts on. Not short shorts. I mean, I have...
Who likes short shorts?
I have very shortish pants on. But Halo Infinite. The beta is upon us. Now, a lot of people have wanted to get into it. We have been playing it for the last couple... Well, again, we only played it yesterday, right? It's been live for the last few days. I believe it finishes today, US time, on the 3rd of August. What did you think of it?
Well, I actually loved it.
I'm so surprised how good this actually is.
Okay, so let me preface it first with... I didn't expect to not like Halo. But with the context of the delay from holiday last year to holiday this year... changes in creative directors. There's just been some red flags, you know what I mean? And so, I love Halo, always have.
We played every single Halo.
Halo 2 defined the school holidays, the Christmas 6 weeks, whatever the respective year was. I didn't leave the house for like 6 weeks.
2002, I think it came out.
I think it was 2002 or 2003. I just love Halo, and to jump on this and be playing Halo again... When it looks as good as it does, it feels as good as it does, it's just more Halo. We only got 3 maps. There was only the bot slayer mode, so basically like 4 people versus 4 people and their bots.
Yeah, I don't know if we actually had people on our team. It was very hard. We were looking at the names.
Some of the names were like not names that you would see on the PSN, Xbox Live, and not the other team was like 343 Hundy or something.
They're
bots.
Yeah, they're
all
the
ones on our team could have gone either way. But anyway, I digress. It was just a simple mode with 3 maps, and it was excellent.
I think it was excellent in a number of fronts. Now, I jumped on Master Chief Collection about a week ago just to kind of play it, right? And it does feel like it's aged a lot. It really has. All the games have aged. Of course they have. Some of them are dating back to, of course, 2000 for Halo Combat Evolved. This one feels like it's taken a lot of lead from games like Call of Duty, with the sprint, with the slide and aim down sights, with the overall intensity now of how it feels. Well, at the same time, it does still feel like Halo. I'm not saying that it's not I'm not saying it doesn't have the DNA of Halo. I'm just saying that it's understood that the landscape of first-person shooters has changed, and it has. And I think it's taken all the good bits. Like, you are aiming down sights for pretty much all weapons now. There are certain weapons also that you can have a left trigger and it does something different, like the shotgun.
Yeah, like an alt fire or an alt fire mode, rather.
Yep. Not the shotgun, but that
the
alien
heat wave, it's called.
Heat wave or whatever.
Yeah.
There's also the sprint now that's just the same button of Call of Duty, and a lot of games have also taken that on. That's just a couple of things, but from the get-go, I feel like they've taken, I think, a lot of good stuff from a lot of successful first-person shooter franchises.
Would you say that it's Halo Combat Evolved? But seriously though, you can just tell that it is evolved with like the
combat has certainly evolved. Yes.
With the current landscape of games. Like when you think back to the original Halos, when you got the sniper rifle, you used to zoom by pressing R3.
Yeah, and I actually did that also the other week when I was playing Master Chief Collection.
Yeah,
it just feels so weird and outdated. Yeah.
Left trigger in the old Halos was the grenade button from memory.
You could change it.
I used to change it to melee, but. And it's important to say that it's not true aim down sights. It's just you kind of zoom in a bit.
It depends on what weapon you're using.
Well, because aim down sights is literally aiming down the sights. That's not the case.
But there's some weapons that did. The one that had the machine gun that you could actually look through it. But it's I know what you're saying, but you're more scoping in. Yeah.
You either scope in if it's a sniper or the battle rifle, as you'd be familiar with, or if you've got the handgun and the assault rifle, you kind of just zoom in a bit more. So it's not going to be Nuketown. You're not going to be popping around and doing these ones. it's its own. It's Halo.
Yeah. It still feels very much like Halo. I think we should talk about that. The DNA of this is still very much Halo. This feels like you are still, fighting a bunch of Spartans in a very Halo map. It still feels Halo. It feels in so many. Even just starting with the map themselves, they still feel like they're designed in a way that it's harking back to the original Halo idea. The Spartans themselves still feel like the floatiness of them, the fighting all the way to each other, and you're trying to melee each other in the middle of the fight. Like those fundamental Halo
kind of pulls you into that melee.
That fundamental idea of what Halo was for a lot of those previous games. Very much still the magnetic melee into each other. That's still all there, and I think if that was taken away, that would still. It needs to be there in order for it to feel like Halo. And also, the announcer is still here. Those little things like that are still here.
I mean, you make the point about it feeling like, the original Halo, and it's had but it's also had a bit of evolution. But it's also important to remember that we haven't seen so much of the game, which is exciting. Like, we got no vehicles in the test preview. What's called a technical preview, I think. So yeah, it's basically 3 small 4v4 focused in terms of sized maps.
Yeah.
So no flying vehicles, certainly no tank, no warthog or mongoose, none of that. And I'm really excited to see what those modes are going to be like now. It's really judging off what we've seen here, it's going to be the same old Halo we've seen all along, but with really meaningful improvements. And I'm really curious to see what those meaningful improvements will bring to the larger scale battles. 16v16 or whatever big team battle used to be.
I don't know what you preferred more, but I always preferred the big team battle. With at least some sort of components of the vehicles and those larger terrains that you could kind of jump in and feel like there was a battle happening, not just like a covert operation, where this feels like it's a bit more of a SWAT team thing from the beta. It's like 4v4, a couple of weapons that you can pick up along the way, but it's very much, 1v1 kind of situations that you are in with these smaller maps. But you're right, I want to see what the game's going to be like when it actually comes out and we are able to play larger maps with the vehicles. But the bones of this, it feels really solid. And I'm excited to see now what this game is, because this is going to be the key, I think, to a lot of people ending up on the Xbox ecosystem. If it's on the cloud, if it's on Game Pass, if it's on PC, or if it's on the actual purchasing of a console, if this game really hits it out of the park, we know it's going to be free. Halo Infinite multiplayer is free. This can bring a lot of traffic to Xbox. It seems like they're on the way to do that.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just as good. So far, it's good. Like, simple as that. What I couldn't stop thinking while I was playing it was that I can't believe that this was scheduled to be released last year.
It's so true. There's no way in hell they would
have
made this.
And look, I understand it's not out yet, but and so it's very much grain of salt. But like so many of the UI elements weren't working. It was just buggy. It had a general. Yeah. It just had a really general lack of polish, and I'm not using that as a slight against it, but I'm just saying if this is what 7, 8, 9 months of progress has given us
from the original
release date, then yeah, I'm glad this kind of stayed in the oven and hasn't seen the light of day yet.
The last thing I think we should touch on, especially even if you might want to touch on other things, but we played on the Xbox One S.
Yes.
Okay, so I have an Xbox Series X, but we were playing at Alex's house, so we had the Xbox One S, right? Look, this is a beta. It's a technical alpha almost. It's still in such a preliminary stage. It's not out. I don't want to make this sound like I'm trashing the performance of the game before it's even out. We've got several months, but it's not good.
Yeah, performance on the One S, and I'm not saying that I don't want to sound like an apologist, but I'm also not saying like it should be running well on a One S. But no, it doesn't run well on a 1S. Like it feels like it was under 30 FPS.
It was struggling, I reckon, to be around the 24 to 30 frames.
Yeah,
when there was a lot going on.
And I realize the 1S is an old console. This is very much a next gen kind of title. But firstly, it's not finished. They could be doing some serious optimization for those lower end machines,
which I'm sure they will.
And I'm sure this technical preview is probably something that they can use. That they can use the data gathered from this to be able to better optimize it. But it wasn't good, and I really hope that if they once it releases, that the performance on the One S is much improved, and I expect it will be.
I only wanted to bring that up because I think a lot of people haven't got their hands on an Xbox Series X or an Xbox Series S yet because, well, the X is sold out. So a lot of people are still using previous gen. Again, you're right. We've got months before this game's coming out, but this could be a red flag. I mean, I don't think so, but it could be. This is the promise that Xbox has made, and this is the kind of situations that they put themselves in. And I think it's a pro-consumer move to say that for the next 2 years, all games will be able to be playable on both consoles. But the problem with that is it does hold back the next generation. It just does, because you've got to make everything work on 4 or 5 different types of units, from the original Xbox to the Xbox One X and everything in between, and as well as the new gen. So with that, I just hope that they're able to fix that. Because it didn't really change my experience when I played it, but you said you thought you would have had a better experience if you weren't having these frame drops and all this kind of shit.
Well, I mean, when it's a first-person shooter, like, so much of your ability to play the game is... shooters are all about input. You know what I mean? There are strategy games where you just sort of observe and you manage basically like spreadsheets, you know? There are puzzle games where it's a match.
Command and Conquer Excel spreadsheet.
I mean, you know what? No, like I'm talking. Eve and stuff like that. But no. So what I'm saying is, like, there are different genres of games that, you know, the performance isn't necessarily as important as other genres. But when you're talking platformers, when you're talking first-person shooters, there are certain genres where high frame rate and low input lag and just basically everything turned up to 10 is really important. And so when you're playing a shooting game and you're running at, 30 FPS and what feels like maybe even a little bit less, the inputs that come from your controller and what is represented on the screen aren't matching to the level that they need for you to feel like you're really in control. Yes, whilst Halo Infinite, it felt great to play in the sense that it was old school Halo. You know, they've got the Needler, the assault rifle, the battle rifle, and then a few new weapons, like one called the Skewer. It's a sniper rifle. It was really cool. It's kind of like what you'd imagine a 50 cal to be like in Halo. It felt great in that sense, but certainly the input was an issue, and they need to address it. I trust that they will, but I would say if you're on a 1S and you're going to be sticking with a 1S for a while, do your research before. I guess if you've got Game Pass, it's included. Do your research before downloading it.
Well, I mean, look, I think you're right.
But you know what I'm saying.
That's the last thing I'll say before we finish here. It's going to be on Game Pass. Halo Infinite's going to be free, but the actual game itself's going to be on Game Pass. So it's a pretty low...
Halo Infinite multiplayer
is free, that's what I mean. It's a pretty low investment for people that do have a 1S. If they want to jump onto Game Pass and try the first 30 days for $1, or if they've already got it and it's an extra... they're already paying $10, it's like next to no risk to just boot it up anyway. But I'm excited to see what they do with this. This is, I think, off to a good start. They're going to be doing more betas or technical alphas in the future. I want to play it again, and we might even do another review of it in 3 months or whatever when we play it again and see what changes have been made. But let's leave it today there. Definitely check it out if you can, because I think they are going to be sending out some additional invites in the coming weeks to other people. Check it out, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time. Laymen out.